Hey guys, it's Juan Deshon here with Quest Trust Company, one of the IRA specialists. We're going to talk to you today about a quick topic that we get questions about all the time. This is going to be on our traditional IRA. So I'm going to go over the frequently asked questions about the traditional IRA and just go over a few key things of what you can and cannot do within that account. So number one question we get is, can I buy real estate within my traditional IRA? Now we get this question a lot because most people are told that they need a self-directed IRA. Now I want to reiterate, a self-directed IRA is really just a marketing term. So it has no legal difference between whether or not you have a traditional IRA with Quest or you have a traditional IRA with Fidelity. The legal difference is nilch, none of it, right? The self-directed portion of it really depends on where you have this IRA account. If you're holding a traditional IRA with a custodian like Quest who can handle these non-traditional assets, well then you can go ahead and you can buy real estate. So the answer to that one is yes, you can buy real estate with your traditional IRA account. The second frequently asked question we have is, can I buy a house with a traditional IRA? Now when we look at this, the first answer I would say is yes, but what is the house going to be used for? Any purchase within the IRA account has to be for investment purposes. So you cannot go and take your traditional IRA money to purchase the home that you will be living in or purchase the home that your son will be living in, as an example. As long as you're purchasing that asset for the benefit of the IRA account as an investment, all profit, expenses correlate and are taken care of by that traditional IRA, then there is no problem. So the answer to that one is yes, you can buy a house with your traditional IRA. And number three, the following question after that is, well, how do I go about doing that? How do I go about buying a home or a house inside of a traditional IRA? So step one, of course, is going to be setting up that account. Step two is setting up that account at a custodian that can purchase real estate, a self-directed custodian like Quest. And once you've done so, typically that custodian is going to have a method and paperwork for you to submit in order to acquire that property. So the way Quest does it is, step one, you want to make sure you get in contact with our real estate team. And that can be found at realestate@questtrust.com if you want to shoot them an email or just give them a call. But first thing you want to do is you want to let the real estate team know that you have located a property in which you wish to use your traditional IRA funds to purchase. They will work with you to review any purchase contracts to make sure the IRA is properly represented and can take title to that property. As your custodian, we will be the ones moving the funds from point A to point B, typically from the IRA to the title company. Once the funds arrive at closing and your IRA takes ownership of this real estate asset, your IRA's name will show up on the deed. Moving forward, what you do with this account or what you do with this asset is going to be for investment purposes only. So remember, if you decide to make this into a rental property, all that rental income will go back inside to the traditional IRA. Where does that money go? That's going to go back to your custodian, in this case, Quest Trust Company, and our accounting department will make sure that gets filed correctly. Now, some frequently asked questions about not necessarily investments, but just basic things about the traditional IRA. One big one that we get is, can my spouse have a traditional IRA account if they don't have a job or any earned income at the moment? And the answer is yes, however, contingent that you guys file a joint return. If one of the spouses has an income and enough to compensate for not only their own contribution, meaning at least $6,000 or $7,000, but to also compensate for the contribution of the second individual, so an additional $6,000 or maybe $7,000, then it is okay. So for example, if I'm making at least $14,000 and me and my spouse are over the age of 50, we can make both full contributions, even if my spouse does not have any earned income, because we are filing a joint tax return. The next question we always get is going to be, well, how much can my spouse contribute to the traditional IRA? And we touched on that a little bit. So remember, the contribution limit is going to be exactly the same, contingent that you make enough money to compensate for the both of you. Now, if your spouse is below the age of 50, however, maybe you're over the age of 50, your numbers might differ just very slightly. Your spouse, if they're under the age of 50, can contribute up to $6,000 a year. And if they're over the age of 50, they get that extra $1,000 catch-up, giving you a total of $7,000. The next frequently asked question we get is going to be, when can I make my contributions, or what date do I have until to make my contributions? And that's going to be tax filing deadline. So our tax filing deadline is going to be April 15th of the following year. Meaning, if I'm trying to contribute for 2021, I have until April 15th of 2022 to contribute for this year. If that April 15th date falls on a weekend, then it goes on to the next following business day. So keep that in mind. But again, remember, I have until the following year, April 15th, tax filing deadline to contribute for the current year. And then the last question is, well, how do I get started? How do I set up a traditional IRA account? If you know that you need a traditional IRA account, or if you're not quite sure but have some questions and just think you need a traditional IRA account, specifically a self-directed IRA account, you need to get in contact with a custodian immediately. Speak to a specialist that can dissect your situation, because everyone's situation is different. Make sure that we know what accounts you're working with currently, what are your goals, what accounts can work for you for the future, and what are your investment goals as well. Not everyone will use a traditional IRA. Some may use a Roth, some may use a SEP, some may use even a simple solo 401k, or maybe some of our specialty accounts, so we just never know. However, it is very likely that a specialist can help you out decide which account is best for you, how it all works, and will get you set up within 24 to 48 hours, at least here at Quest. So give us a call at 1-855-FUN-IRAs and speak to a specialist today to determine if you need a traditional IRA and how we can get you started. Thank you.